Okay, this is our monthly internal customer call for the package stage, in which we just talk through some upcoming priorities and anything else that is relevant to the discussion. There's an agenda we'll be going through. Um, okay, so a couple of the first thing on the agenda is the upgrade to Puma and the pending dependency proxy release. I was wondering, how is Puma going? Is it, does it seem like it's gonna, or do you have any sense of timing for when it may switch over to GA?
I think they're running into some performance issues in Canary, so they're working on those, and they're not rolling back, but they're not moving forward either while they work those out.
Okay, so no sense of timing, just because performance issues are tough.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Camille did a great write up in the issue on it, explaining what they're running into and what's going on and everything like that. So if people want more details, can look at that issue.
Okay, that's helpful. On the on the dependency proxy front itself, Alex, actually, thank you for joining.
Yeah,
Um,
sorry. It's one of those things where it's like it's a meeting, and then you're like, oh, I'll get that, and then
Well,
forget
it's better than what I did last month, which was just show up 5 minutes late with no reason. But we were just talking about Puma, and Ian was mentioning that there's some performance issues that we're working through, and there's no timeline. And he was referencing the issue to go in and check out some of those details. And then I was just mentioning that you put together or I was about to mention, you put together the dependency proxy readiness issue,
uh-huh.
which I added some results to, but I don't think we've gotten any feedback from the engineering team quite yet on terms of like architecture and how we'll test scalability.
Yeah. So from my understanding of this feature, it's really not dangerous. Really, it's not like I think this is for the most part more of an exercise in doing this for like everything to like try to be sure that we do it for everything, because it will, it does change settings and all of that, but like it doesn't interact with the database at all. And it only interacts with object storage, which in theory is pretty scalable. So um, but yeah, no, that's good. I looked at it the other day and I was like, this is good, and then I didn't say anything, so sorry.
It's okay. I'll follow up with Dan offline and see if we can get someone to look at that over after the holiday and everything, probably.
That'd be great.
Um, okay, so things are moving on the next item was the things are moving on the container registry. So we've created our own fork. We're using that fork right now. It's not ideally what we want. Sid has mentioned a couple of times that he would like to see us pushing changes back upstream. Um, I don't know if you both know, but Docker's enterprise product was recently acquired, but not the open source project. So they essentially the head of product just moved up to the CEO for Docker's open source project, and I got connected to him via the founder of Docker. So trying to set up some time and see if they can make the one thing that we're suggesting is that GitLab can become maintainers of the Docker distribution registry. And then this way we can push our changes back up and they can be available for everyone to make, and we can make sure everyone can contribute. If not, then we're going to have to maintain our fork. And there's other partnership discussions I've been in with the alliances team just to figure out, are there any of our customers or preferred partners that also want to contribute to that project? And if so, how do we make it so that, again, people can contribute in an open way? All that to say, we've made a few smaller changes. The changes that Stan made that originally prompted the fork, have you seen noticeable improvements in terms of support issues? And I remember one thing we were talking about was having to restart the registry every night at 2 a.m.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I do. I'm so sorry. I know that since we were restarting it, I think we've moved it into Kubernetes. I don't know if it still has to restart or anything about that. Do you know if there might be an issue I can look for? I'll do that now.
Okay, yeah, no rush. And just,
Yeah.
just wondering. So we're working on the storage optimization or the garbage collection. So the idea was we want to optimize the algorithm first and then enable online garbage collection. Haley, who's our first Go engineer, is starting to work on that now and said it makes sense to think about each storage backend separately because like how GCS behaves is different than S3 and we may want to optimize it differently. So that we're starting to work through that, and S3 is the priority first, and then we'll do GCS, and then we'll think about like RAID storage or some more of our on-premise customers. And Jagor, oh boy, I know I'm going to butcher his name. I haven't said it in a while, but Jagorish is one of our staff and our fellow engineers is chiming in on how we can enable online garbage collection and using like setting up a proxy to filter results through. So there's some discussion on how we can move that, which will finally get us to this point that we could lower the cost of the container registry for GitLab, because I am scared every time I look at that chart of how much storage we're using and how much it's costing us. So we're working on it. It'll be after we do some of the optimization work, but it's starting to move, and we have another Go engineer starting next week. So I think we're going to really be able to start moving on the container registry now.
Excellent. I like to hear that. Also, I looked up the issue. It looks like we don't do it anymore. Once we moved to Kubernetes, it wasn't necessary. So.
Oh, cool.
I should add that as of 12.5, Omnibus is enabling the container registry by default if Let's Encrypt integration is in play. So that might hopefully get us some good feedback from the community on that.
Is there anything I could do to help drive that, get that feedback that like, or do you think that like, will you hear anything from customers or from like administrators saying I had this problem, or I saw it was implemented, but I had to change this thing? I'm interested in like a common set of problems that people encounter.
Yeah, the community is pretty good at coming directly to the Omnibus GitLab issue tracker and filing issues and bug reports. So
okay,
we often will hear firsthand from people who are running into issues with new features.
okay, and then I will get alerted of those if they are tagged with container registry, so I could follow up on those issues that way.
Yeah, I'll make a note that if I see any, I'll label them accordingly.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so the next couple of things are just like some issues that are coming up for us. So Sid held iteration office hours the other day and was really pushing us in the package stage to drive more community contributions for different package managers. So that's just to say that we added in contributor docs and suggested contributions. So if you know anybody that wants to contribute, that would be awesome. We are adding Docker tag expiration policies MVC in 12.6. So that will be for all new projects that are started in 12.6 moving forward. There will be a default tag expiration policy for non-master branches. So if you are in a feature branch, you have to opt, I think it's defaults to on, but it'll default to say like every 30 days, delete any images that match commit SHA and keep the latest like 10. It's super conservative to start, but just to help stop the bleeding of saying, okay, new projects will have in some policy that will be enacted, and then we'll iterate off of that to add in retention policies, so being able to set like protected image names or something like that. So I'm pretty excited about that feature. And then NuGet and PyPy are next. And then the other stuff is maybe not as relevant, but we are validating our naming conventions is a big problem that I'm seeing with how we scale out to multiple package managers. It's pretty confusing having to use like project and group and instance scoping. It makes it hard for people that are trying to migrate from JFrog or Sonatype to GitLab because they don't have the concept of scoping to a given project. And then we want to validate that actually we do need to build, and this may be a good question for you both, like we started by building a private NPM registry or a private Maven repository. One of the questions we have is that really necessary, or could we like mirror someone's existing feed that they have set up somewhere Could we just mirror the feed that, let's say, that NPM has, for example? Would you, so the idea would be that we don't have to host the packages privately. We could just display them, make them discoverable, and make it easy to get that code pulled into a given project or pipeline. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that, because I'm just starting to add that into, like, is this a real problem? Is that a way that we can enable this feature or extend this feature to the community edition?
I am not really sure myself.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm with Alex. I'm not 100% sure, so I can't give a really well-educated answer.
Well, I'm looking forward to asking this question, and I'll let you both know what I what I find out. And then just there's a couple of changes to some of the how we handle tokens. So we're adding and revising the scope of the personal access token. Actually, Jason's team is working on that. And then we have some requests from customers to add deploy tokens for the container registry. So that's the other thing that we're thinking about. Do you use deploy tokens at all for deploying images now?
I don't know. Probably.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I
No.
could just check out the pipeline files and see how you're doing it. I tried to check out the CNG project the other day because I took this this course on GitLab pipelines, just like learning how to build and deploy my app, and I thought I was fancy. And then I went and I looked at actually what we're doing for GitLab, and I was like, okay, this is next level. I don't think my introductory class could explain the complexity of what we're doing. Well, cool. That was all I had for today. Do you have any questions for me that I could help answer?
Not from me right now, but I am excited about registry cleanup possibilities.
Me too. All right, cool. I'll stop the recording.